The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien is a well-known book that came out in 1937. It tells the story of Bilbo Baggins, a hobbit who lives in the Shire, and his quest to get the Lonely Mountain back from the dragon Smaug. Along the way, he meets many different people, like the wizard Gandalf and a group of dwarves who want to get back their lost wealth. In the beginning of the story, Bilbo lives a quiet and happy life in the Shire. One day, the wizard Gandalf comes to see him. Gandalf asks Bilbo to help him get the Lonely Mountain back from the dragon Smaug. At first, Bilbo isn't sure if he wants to join the quest, but in the end, he does. Thorin Oakenshield leads a group of dwarves, which includes Bilbo. The group has to deal with trolls, goblins, giant spiders, and a dangerous underground lake along the way. They also meet a creature named Gollum. Gollum has a special ring, which Bilbo takes from him. The group eventually gets to the Lonely Mountain and faces Smaug. The dwarves are able to beat the dragon and get their wealth back with the help of Bilbo. But the group's victory doesn't last long because the people of Lake Town, who helped them on their journey, now want a piece of the treasure. This causes a fight between humans, dwarves, and elves, which only stops when an army of goblins shows up. In the end, the different groups come to an uneasy agreement and split up the wealth. Bilbo goes back to the Shire with a new appreciation for his quiet life and a new admiration for adventure. The idea of being a hero is one of the Hobbit's main ideas. In the beginning of the story, Bilbo doesn't want to go on the quest, but as the story goes on, he grows stronger and more brave. He can beat his enemies, and in the end, he is a key part of defeating Smaug. The book shows that heroes can come from places you wouldn't expect, and that even the most unusual heroes can step up when things get tough. The thought of the journey itself is another important theme. Bilbo's trip is both physical and a way for him to learn more about himself. He finds out what he can and can't do, and he finds a sense of purpose and satisfaction that he had been missing before. The book makes the point that the trip is just as important as the destination, and that the experiences and problems you face along the way can change you. The Hobbit also talks about money and what happens when people are greedy. The dwarves' main goal at first is to get back their lost treasure, but their single-minded focus on money puts them in danger by putting them in conflict with other groups. The book shows that wanting things can be dangerous and that it's important to find a balance between wanting things and being happy with what you have. Lastly, The Hobbit is known for the way it builds a world and tells a story. Tolkien makes a world that is full of unique animals, landscapes, and cultures. The book has a lot of interesting people and exciting action scenes, but it's also a very introspective piece that looks at big ideas and themes. Overall, The Hobbit is a classic that never gets old and keeps readers of all ages interested. It is a masterful work of fantasy fiction that blends exciting adventures with deep philosophical ideas. Its characters and world building have influenced a lot of other literature, from video games to blockbuster movies. The Hobbit is a must-read for anyone who likes fantasy books, whether they have read them before or not. It will take you to a magical world full of wonder and excitement. The novel's enduring success can be attributed to its universal themes of heroism, self-discovery, and the consequences of greed, as well as to its engaging and imaginative storytelling. The story of how Bilbo went from being a happy hobbit to a brave and clever hero is a timeless one that speaks to people of all ages and backgrounds. Also, the world building in the book is unmatched, and Tolkien's attention to detail and vivid imagination have led to many copies and versions. There are a lot of computer games, tabletop games, and other works of fiction that were inspired by Middle-earth. These are just a few examples of how the book has influenced other forms of art. Overall, The Hobbit is a literary work that has stood the test of time and is still a beloved classic in the fantasy genre. Its themes of heroism, self-discovery, and the dangers of greed are just as important today as they were when the book came out, and the fact that it is still so popular shows that it has global appeal and will be remembered for a long time. If you haven't already, you owe it to yourself to read The Hobbit. It's a timeless story of magic and adventure.